In Libya, at this point in its history, styling yourself a Colonel Gaddafi loyalist is a stance of almost impressive boneheadedness, akin to any given British person continuing to operate a Gary Glitter fan club. Nevertheless, there are those who are trying. 32 alleged members of a pro-Gaddafi group have been arrested following a car bomb in Tripoli, which left 2 people dead.
But what of the people whose connection to the Gaddafi name isn't a question of ideology, but of blood? Many of his family are still alive, but where are they? Perhaps, as importantly, where is their money? Well, on the line is the Algerian journalist Nabila Ramdani, who has been tracking the clan's progress. Welcome, Nabila, to the Monocle Daily. We know that Colonel Gaddafi met an unceremonial end last October. 3 of his sons were reported killed during Libya's revolution. Saif al-Islam's trial is due to start next month. Who else have we got on the family tree that need to be tracked down?
Well, almost exactly a year ago, actually, you had some members of his family who fled Libya, which was in the midst of a conflict, to neighboring Algeria. And a group of 12 people crossed the border, and that included some members of the Gaddafi family and other relatives and security people accompanying them. And among the Gaddafi family members were Colonel Gaddafi's wife, Safia, his daughter Aisha, 2 of his sons, Mohammed and Hannibal, and they were, and they still are, kept under very tight protection by the Algerian government, and they are believed to be staying in a state residence complex overlooking the Mediterranean Sea, and it's actually a home in Algeria to senior members of the regime, and they had been flown by private jet from the Sahara region to Algiers, the capital city, and the villa is in fact located in a pine forest west of Algiers.
Does anybody know what they're doing all day, the Gaddafis? Is there any suggestion that they're still interfering with affairs inside Libya?
Although the Algerian government has welcomed some members of the Gaddafi family on humanitarian grounds, as they put it, insisting that they were mainly looking after the female members of the family and his sons, which were not directly related to the Gaddafi very close circle, in fact. The Algerian government put very strict conditions on their admission in the country. For example, they were not allowed to bring in big sacks of money with them. They're not allowed to travel alone and without their own. They're not allowed to use their own bodyguards, their own protection. For now, they're still being kept in that secluded pine forest. It might be that in the future they will be able to move into elite apartments in Algiers itself, but for now it's not an option for them. And more crucially, they are denied any contact with the outside world, meaning they are not allowed to speak to foreign media, they are not allowed any propaganda or any calls to rally around Colonel Gaddafi's figure after his death, as Aisha Gaddafi, his only daughter, had tried to do after she arrived in Algeria.
What is Libya's government doing to retrieve them out of this luxury seaview compound?
It has to be said that the relationship between Algeria and the new government in Libya, the National Transitional Council, have been quite tense since the arrival of some of the members of the Gaddafi family. For example, they have the NTC wanted those members of the Gaddafi family to be extradited from Algeria and be sent back to Libya to face potential trial in relation to their potential involvement in Gaddafi's crimes. And although Algeria is part of the Rome Statute, which would allow the extradition of the members of the Gaddafi family, it hasn't ratified the treaty, meaning that technically members of the Gaddafi family cannot be extradited. And this remains a bone of contention between the two governments now. But it has also to be noted that although the Algerian government has welcomed some members of the Gaddafi family, the sentiment within Algeria amongst the Algerian population is not one of support of that decision. They are quite worried that it will attract trouble inside Algeria, and in fact, in the wake of the Gaddafi family arriving in Algeria, a double suicide bomb attack took place against the Churchill Military Academy in Algiers, highlighting, the constant threat of extremist groups like Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, and this is also a reminder of, although Libya had friendly ties with Algeria over, in its history, the more recent history also suggests that Libya was not an easy neighbor for Algeria, particularly so because of the links between Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb and the Libyan Islamic fighting group.
Is the Gaddafi's presence in Algeria an ongoing political issue in Algeria? Are there a lot of people who object to them being there?
Yes, very much so. And the main concern is that perhaps it will, bring trouble inside Algeria. Algeria being itself a vulnerable country, it has witnessed last year, people also manifested themselves and were claiming the kind of freedom and improvement in the living standards that was witnessed in neighboring Arab countries in the region. So the fear was that the Libyan revolution could be exported to neighboring Algeria and cause instability.
And finally, we mentioned earlier on in this interview that the hunt is on to find Gaddafi's money. He was reportedly worth billions. Where is it?
Well, a lot of his money has been traced, he was placed in various bank accounts in Western countries, but indeed all over the world. Since the uprising began and the UN resolution had been passed to allow, protection of civilian lives in Libya, it was accompanied by a decision to freeze Colonel Gaddafi's assets, meaning that no member of the Gaddafi family can have access to that money, and this, of course, prevents the members of the Gaddafi families who've managed to flee the country, such as Saadi Gaddafi, who is now believed to be in Niger, to have access to that kind of money, or indeed members of the Gaddafi family who are currently in Algeria. And I have to add that Aisha Gaddafi gave birth to a baby girl, which means that the baby girl is, of course, a part of the Gaddafi family as well. So all these people do not have access to Gaddafi's assets.
Nabila Ramdani, thank you very much for joining us.